Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:07. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in on a busy Wednesday morning as we continue to see unrest and violence across this country now. They've globalized the Intifada, I guess, replicating what we've seen in Los Angeles for several days now in major cities across the nation. Coming up at 8:05, Joe Concha on the media's hand in all of this, and on now the firing of Terry Moran of ABC News. And then at 8:35, old friend of the program, Roma Daravi. She's the spokesperson for the Kennedy Center. Les Miserables opening tonight. Huge night for the Trump administration and for the city and for the arts. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Let's walk down memory lane, shall we? Do you remember this video? This is Nancy Pelosi being whisked away from the Capitol. The video is taken by her own daughter. She's in a vehicle leaving the Capitol on January 6th.
Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they have. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
All right, now, you'll remember, that's Nancy Pelosi asking why the National Guard wasn't there on January 6th, and then saying, as you just heard, I take full responsibility for them not being there. That's curious because yesterday, as questions arose about the showdown in California and President Trump's deployment of the National Guard specifically to protect federal buildings and federal law enforcement agents who were under assault, there was some question as to whether the president was acting rashly, shouldn't have called the National Guard, and people were drawing comparisons to January 6th and the National Guard. Fast forward to yesterday afternoon, Democrats on Capitol Hill, they bring out Nancy Pelosi, and she says this.
In a bipartisan way, on January 6th, with violence against the Constitution, against the Congress, and against the United States Capitol, we begged the President of the United States to send in the National Guard. He would not do it. Not only would he not do it, when law enforcement people were being harmed, some later died, he would not send it in when an instigation that an insurrection that he incited was causing damage to those assigned to protect the Capitol and the Constitution that day, to accept the results of the Electoral College.
All right, there's a lot to unpack there, but thankfully we don't have to do it alone. We have someone who actually has firsthand knowledge of the events of January 6th and the days leading up to it with regard to the police, the riot, and the National Guard. He is the former Chief of the Capitol Police, Stephen Sund, and he joins us now. Chief Sund, thanks for waking up this morning for us. Good to talk with you.
My pleasure, Julian Larry. It's always great being with you, too.
When you heard Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi deliver those remarks yesterday, I wonder what went through your mind, because I think you have a different memory of the situation.
Absolutely have a different memory. You know, when I sit down and I watch the video and you hear about the violence that's now, it's terrible in California, but it's now hitting other cities. And I'm really worried about this weekend. And you have her going on TV and saying this. At first, I thought this is laughable what she's saying, but it's way too serious for that. You know, these politicians need to start speaking the truth. The fact is, and it's interesting if you go back. You know, I don't post a lot on Twitter or X, but I did yesterday when I saw that. I posted it's time to get the facts out. The post that I put out actually on the January 6th. There's a couple things we'll unpack here, but January 6th, I requested the National Guard 11 times through her sergeant at arms, which I'm required to by federal law. People don't realize that. They now changed the law, but I'm required to. So I went ahead and posted the facts. That's gotten 2.3 million views. That still shows that people are sick and tired of politicians coming out there and trying to spew stuff that they think people are just going to believe. It's not the truth. The truth is, January 3rd, I requested National Guard multiple times. I was denied multiple times. All I wanted was National Guard to help secure my perimeter. And then on January 6th, while the very police officers she's talking about are under attack, for 71 minutes, I repeatedly kept calling the Sergeant at Arms, begging for them to give me approval to bring in National Guard, and they wouldn't. Thank gosh I had all those police agencies in my phone and just started calling every police chief I knew and asking for help.
Yeah. Chief Sund, first of all, let me thank you for that, and thank you for clearing the record, because your story, shockingly, doesn't get out very much. You were the chief of police for the Capitol Police on January 6th, and somehow you're not the top of the list to be on to talk about this and bring the facts out. A couple of things. Number one, you said you started your request for the National Guard on January 3rd, so you were anticipating a large turnout at the Capitol. You make those requests as chief of police for the Capitol Police through the House of Representatives and through the Speaker's office. Why didn't you call the president? The narrative out here is that the president's in charge of the National Guard in Washington, D.C., and if you wanted the National Guard, you should have called the president.
Well, in Washington, D.C., and I know my National Guard regulations, the mayor's in charge. But for me, it's unique. People need to realize this. Up on Capitol Hill, it's unique. And I'm the only chief that had this law. It's 2 U.S. 1970. They've since realized the flaws in the law and changed it a year later. But needless to say, on January 6th, I was impacted by it. So my chain of command goes right to the Sergeant Arms, and anybody can look it up. Just make sure you look at the original one. It has to be in consultation with leadership. So I go to the Sergeant Arms. They're supposed to take it up to leadership, and they wouldn't even do that.
Okay.
Well, I don't even know what communication they may have had with Pelosi, but the concern specifically Paul Irving had, who is Speaker Pelosi's Sergeant Arms, was the optics of the National Guard on Capitol Hill.
All right. So leading up to January 6th, I've heard you say this before on this program, that you were told, no, we don't want the National Guard because of optics. They didn't want it to look bad on camera. And, of course, we see what they did get on camera on January 6th. All right. Question number two. On the day of, you say you made 11 requests. When they responded to your requests, did they ever tell you, well, we'd love to do that for you, Chief, but President Trump has said no, he won't deploy the National Guard?
Not once. Not once did it come down to that. I was just trying to get it through my chain of command, to get it over there. So at 12:53, we became under attack on the West Front. 12:55, I called D.C. Police for help. 12:58, made my first call to Paul Irving, and he said he's going to run it up the chain. That's his chain of command up to Speaker Pelosi. There was 10 more calls before I finally got approval at 2:09 p.m. Think about that. While that attack was going on, that's 2 minutes before the first window at the Capitol was broken.
Yeah. Chief Sund, what happened afterwards? You were made kind of a scapegoat, and you've quietly been pushing back for years on this narrative, which we just saw yesterday, in light of a video by Pelosi's own daughter, which contradicts what she said at that podium yesterday. But I'm interested in what happened to you afterwards. Again, you were made a scapegoat. Can you explain that?
Absolutely, Julie. Thank you for asking that as well. So after January 6th, she goes on national TV. She says, what happened on January 6th is a failure of leadership at the top, called me out by name, and demanded my resignation. After being up for 36 hours, I consulted with a couple of people. I said, you know what, I'll go ahead and submit my resignation. And then when I started looking into everything and putting all the facts together of everything that had occurred in an after action, which people can read, I'm now realizing that I absolutely shouldn't have been fired. I love that agency. I love the men and women of that agency. I think I was probably one of the better leaders. To be forced out like that, and to be stripped of my retirement, be stripped of compensation. So now I'm working with Barry Loudermilk, December 17th, 2024. People may not realize that the subcommittee submitted one of their final reports to Congress, and on the front page exonerated me by name. Mm-hmm. I've been working with Barry Loudermilk to regain my reputation and have them look at the retirement benefits and benefits that were stripped from me by her going on national TV and calling for my resignation. I was the one that tried to get National Guard in advance, tried to get National Guard on January 6th, and was repeatedly denied, and I was the one that had to pay the price.
And I just want to be really clear here. You were stripped of your retirement.
Yeah, I was actually just a few months away from being able to retire, and wasn't allowed to retire. I was forced out. Yeah. Whereas other people in the agency that played a role in the poor intelligence now have other jobs and were able to retire early. So it's kind of interesting, but there's a whole story.
It's interesting is one word for it. Unjust is another. I mean, you were made a scapegoat, but more accurately, Nancy Pelosi made you the scapegoat, I think is the better way to phrase it. One last question. I just want to go back because you mentioned that you started your request for National Guard on January 3rd. I don't think I've ever asked you this question in the few times that I've been able to interview you. Kash Patel was the chief of staff of the Pentagon that day. He talks about a meeting. He said this under oath to the committee, the January 6th committee, that there was a meeting of President Trump, the Secretary of Defense, and President Trump several days before January 6th pre-authorized the use of National Guard should the mayor or the speaker request it. Do you have independent knowledge of that? Did you know ahead of time leading up to January 6th, or had you heard that the president had pre-authorized the use of the National Guard?
So the president pre-authorizing it, what I don't have specific knowledge of that, but I do have knowledge of, and it speaks to that, is there's a program manager over at the Pentagon. Her name is Carol Corbin. She's activated the National Guard, worked with D.C. Police and other agencies to help fill their resource needs for National Guard. She had reached out to somebody at the Capitol Police on January 3rd, the same day that I went to the Sergeant Arms, saying, are you guys going to be requesting National Guard? Meaning they're leaning forward. So that supports what the saying.
Okay.
That they were, and we had to say no because I'd been denied by the Sergeant Arms to make that request.
That's critical, I think, that on January 3rd, you were privy to the Pentagon proactively reaching out, and you can connect those dots, or I would connect those dots, to Kash Patel's testimony, who's now the FBI director, that President Trump pre-authorized and told the Pentagon that he authorizes the use of the National Guard. Once again, Nancy Pelosi rewriting history yesterday, the media taking it without any scrutiny, without any challenge, without any question. This is the man who knows the truth. He was there that day, former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund. Thank you, sir. Thanks for clearing this up.
Thank you.
I appreciate talking to you. Take care.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
We could have Chief Sund on, honestly, for all 4 hours to unpack the truth of January 6th and push back against the lies that we've been hearing. And it's remarkable to me that, the narrative yesterday, and by the way, for those of you who, are rubbing sleep out of your eyes and maybe just waking up and you didn't catch all of that, we will replay our interview with Chief Sund later in the program in a couple of hours, I suspect in the 7 o'clock hours. So stay tuned for that, or you can alert people if you've gotten into debates and fights with your liberal friends or your never Trumper friends about January 6th and Trump's responsibility. Let them know. 7:05, we'll play that again. The talking point narrative seemed to progress yesterday, Julie Gunlock, from number one, the protests are peaceful, to number two, they're mostly peaceful, to number three, okay, sure, they're violent, but, it's Trump's fault. He started it because he called in the National Guard. And number four, the final talking point, of course, is, but what about January 6th? And they rolled that out on cable news, and they even rolled it out on Capitol Hill as I played up. She spoke for 5 minutes about January 6th, the National Guard, the insurrection, and all of that. The entire reason for it was to juxtapose and create a narrative that Trump caused January 6th by not calling in the National Guard, and now he's causing the Los Angeles riots because he did call in the National Guard. Make logical sense for me, please.
Yeah, honestly, I still need my Xanax to kick in because I am so emotionally angry about what happened yesterday. And Pelosi, the absolute audacity of Pelosi getting up there. This is the thing, Larry. It's like, I feel like people in Washington used to do this crap when videos of them saying the absolute opposite were still like hidden, right? Yeah. It's like they would say something and then a video would come forward showing the opposite, and then there was a scandal. But now they just do that when they know video evidence exists. Yeah, she just gets up at a point when her own daughter videotaped her saying, I take responsibility. I didn't call in the National Guard. I'm responsible. It's my job, right? Mm-hmm. She said it over and over again. And we're playing one clip, but she said it multiple times on her daughter's video, which have all been released. And the idea that this good man, Chief Sund, not only was asked to resign to cover her butt, but then he lost his retirement. Larry, we've hung out with Chief Sund. We've talked to. He's such a good man.
He is really a good man. He is central casting for a police chief.
Humble, kind, not angry, not bitter. I would be breaking things, right? He's so calm. He's so wonderful. And so that's why I joke, like, I need my Xanax to kick in because, for 12 hours now, I have been so angry. It was hard for me to go to sleep last night because I was so angry about this.
Well, like I said, we'll have more conversation and reaction, and we'll play Chief Son's interview later in the program. And I suspect that Chief Son, whenever he gets to that point where he starts to feel bitter and he starts to feel angry, he maybe says a quick Hail Mary or something. I don't know what his denomination is. And then he thinks to himself, wait, I don't need to get angry and upset and bitter. I've got Julie Gunlock to do that for me. That's right.
Seriously, I'm going to eat a carb. I need a bagel.
It's 5:23.
Coming up, ABC fires Terry Moran over his totally unhinged anti-Trump post. And at 8:05 today, we'll talk to Joe Concha about this. Truly a bizarre story, but he's out. He's out at ABC. We'll tell you all about it. Keep it here. It's 5:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
5:37. Thank you again to Chief Stephen Son, former police chief of the Capitol Police, on January 6th, before his retirement the next day. His resignation, I should say, not retirement. And if you want to hear that interview again that we just had, it'll be on at 7:05. Also at 8:05, Joe Concha, and at 8:35, Roma Daravi, now the spokesperson for the Kennedy Center. Big night as we shall storm the barricades at the Kennedy Center. One day more, Les Miserables. Opening night. One of President Trump's favorites, by the way, one of my favorites, too, something that we have in common. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, not a big fan of Les Miserables. Or the Kennedy Center, for that matter.
You are ridiculous.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, are you going tonight?
No, I'm not going.
Oh, were you not I'm sorry, were you not invited?
Larry, there's things that I have to do for the kids.
I understand. Actually, I can't go either.
Really?
No, I had a previous commitment, number one. Number two, EJ, Meredith is out of town. I'm a single dad right now. EJ doesn't have a tuxedo. And even if he did, it would be a very a long night and a rough night. We will actually be attending the congressional baseball game tonight.
How fun. Now, he's going to love that.
Yes, he does. In fact, we've gone a couple of years in a row now. It's a tradition. EJ and I go to the congressional baseball game.
You get all the tickets.
With our friends at Hillsdale College.
Oh, that's
Let me get the plug for the sponsor in, please.
Sorry.
We go with Hillsdale College. College graduate program here in D.C. You should check it out. All right. Now, what were you going to complain about?
Oh, my lack of tickets.
I literally called you yesterday and said, hey, Les Miserables.
I know.
Red carpet. Go there, interview people on the red carpet, play the audio on WMAL. I'm sorry, I had to get my nails done.
That's right. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I said. I have to get my nails done. I'm so pressed to get my nails done. You're such a jerk.
Well, it was something like that. I don't know. I stopped listening after no.
Okay.
Sort of a thing that I do. Doesn't matter. I'm sorry. It really doesn't matter. Oh, I'm sorry. Colonoscopy? Okay, I guess that's a good reason.
Okay, thank you. You're done. Let's move on. Terry Moran.
Don't direct me back to the rundown. I know what we're supposed to be talking about. I would rather complain about you hating musical theater and the Kennedy Center and me.
I love the Kennedy Center, and I love what Trump has done, and Rick, and yeah.
All
right. Back to the show.
I call him Ambassador Grinnell. But no, Julie's like, Rick.
Oh, come on.
It's all right. No, I get it.
Gosh.
Anyway, it's going to be a big night at the Kennedy Center. Everybody go see Les Miserables. We do need to have the show. Heather Hunter needs to bring her daughters and drag her husband Derek there. Derek doesn't like going out at all, let alone dressing up nice and going to musical theater. Heather Hunter and I have seen Les Miserables, I think, twice now in Washington, D.C.
Really?
And her husband refuses to go. It's ridiculous. He would love the show. And we got to stop calling her her husband, because he's now big-time afternoon drive host on WMAL, Derek Hunter.
Right.
And we need to publicly shame him for not liking it.
You probably have a text right now. Please refer to me as...
No, he's sleeping. Trust me, the afternoon drive shift.
Good point.
way
Yeah.
easy. But no, Derek, the Hunter family needs to go to see some musical theater. Maybe Les Mis isn't the first choice for a 5 and a 7-year-old.
Yeah, it's a little intense. The prostitution stuff is,
it's
the
only
losing the
one
teeth.
scene. It's one scene. I took my girls. I took my girls to see it when they were around that same age. I want to thank.
Beautiful music. My goodness.
It is one of the best, and it's at the Kennedy Center right now. And we should all be enjoying the Kennedy Center while we can, because my guess is if a Democrat ever gets elected to the White House again, they will literally ban
nonstop
any
trans.
Republican.
No, it'll be nonstop trans.
Yeah, well, every show it'll be just be. Forget about drag queen story hour at the library.
Oh,
no,
forget
it'll be, just do it at the Kennedy Center on every stage all day long.
Yep.
Our friends at the National Symphony Orchestra will have to dress in drag for every concert.
Absolutely.
Mandatory.
Yep.
Because inclusion, this is really, it's your last chance until to enjoy the performing arts in America, and it's the global showcase, the Kennedy Center, and Les Miserables is a great show. Anyway, and we got to drag Derek Hunter to go enjoy some musicals. I don't know,
and the Gunlocks.
No, you've had your chance. So why is it there are certain men who have like sort of a built-in sort of barrier that they're watching an actor on stage, and then the music starts and the actor starts to sing, and they're like, that's it, I'm out, I'm done, can't do this, not going to do it. Why is that? There's some guys like, I can't see a musical.
Heterosexuality.
I resent that. I think that my track record with the ladies is pretty clear, thank you very much. In fact, a little too clear for my taste. I wish some of them would shut up. One date and
you're
suddenly
the exception. You're the exception, Larry.
That's not true. I don't think that it's necessarily. I mean, that's not.
I'm
sorry.
Just kidding.
But really, it is weird because if you think about it, in like the 40s and 50s, when men were men, Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire were the number one stars in the world, right? And that's what they were Forget about just singing. There's no like twinkle toe dancing in Les Miserables, right? It's real men with guns singing songs about liberty and freedom.
No, of course. My husband cannot stand musicals. I'll never forget when I think we were still dating at this point. I can't remember the actual. Anyway, it was way before kids. I took him to see Evita with Madonna. Remember?
One of my. Oh, wow.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Madonna was good. I don't care.
No, it was
okay.
It. That movie was okay. It wasn't.
I loved it. Anyway, and we came out, and I said, "What'd you think?" And he goes, "I didn't know there'd be so much singing."
Wait, it's literally an opera. It's nothing but singing.
I don't think he really knew. Okay.
I see.
He thought it was Madonna. He went because he's like, Madonna boobs. We're definitely gonna see boobs. Yeah, it wasn't what he thought.
Well, I mean, there are a few boobs in it.
Are there?
Well, I mean, dressed, but a lot of cleavage, I should say, is probably.
Cleavage is not boobs. Anyway, but
that's enough for me these days.
It's
5:43.
Breaking news and the inside story on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
I love it.
Trump in his sit-down meeting face-to-face with Terry Moran. I guess that'll end up being sort of the coda to Terry Moran's career, at least at ABC News, as yesterday they announced in a very oblique and tangential way that they had fired him. On the day that I do get fired, and I will, mark my words, I'm sure at some point be fired, that it's just a given in the radio business. No, this is my first job in radio, and no one only has one job in radio. I promise. It's going to happen. I don't know who's going to do it. Probably you.
Yeah.
But I want them to be. I want to get fired the way ABC News got fired, or ABC News fired Terry Moran. Here's what happened. Terry Moran put out that tweet, the horrendous, very rude, horrible thing that he tweeted at like 2 a.m. on Saturday night about Stephen Miller and about President Trump, saying that they don't have brains, that they're full of bile and hatred, and objective ABC News reporter, right?
Yeah.
ABC News then suspended Terry Moran, which is hilarious if you think about it. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, that warrants a suspension. That's it. You've come to work late too often, right? Or you parked in the boss's parking spot.
Right.
We're gonna. What are the terms of that suspension exactly? Does he get paid suspension?
The terms were, we hope this goes away.
Right. Let's wait for it to blow over. And of course it didn't. In their statement suspending, ABC News said, we stand for objectivity and impartiality in its news coverage. Have you met George Stephanopoulos?
Is this a sudden rule change? You've never stood for these things.
All right. So now ABC News announced that here's how they put it. We are at the end of our agreement. This is how I want to be fired. Just anyone who's might be the person to do it. We are after suspending Terry Moran. They put out another statement yesterday. We are at the end of our agreement with Terry Moran. And based on his recent post, which was a clear violation of ABC News policies, we've made the decision to not renew. I like that. Wait, am I fired? No. We've just decided not to renew.
I have to say, though, Larry, I know we're kind of poking fun at Terry Moran here, but, this incident yesterday really made me think about, and a couple other tweets from some former conservatives who are now so TDS that they've lost their minds. It really is amazing how many people have gone insane since Trump was elected the first time and then the second time. And it's altered their careers. It's altered their lives. Mm-hmm. And a number of these sort of never Trump former conservatives, they literally have lost all their friendships within that movement because they can't be around people who support Trump. It's not like they were rejected by Trump supporters. No, they literally can't be around people. I know people like this in Washington who've really, and then you think about...
If you're wondering who Julie's talking about, just look at the bylines at the Bulwark. That's a good place to start, I would think.
That's true. But you think about, Terry Moran at midnight, because that's the other thing. He made these tweets like, I don't know if he was drinking, but,
I have a theory. I think this is like an Anthony Weiner thing. I think he thought he was DMing someone.
Do you think so? Oh, that makes
sense.
Because it was so weird.
Yeah.
It really amazes me how many people have altered their lives because of Trump. They are so incapable of thinking rationally that they've lost friends. They don't talk to family. They've altered their careers. They've lost their principles, all because of this man. And Terry Moran is a perfect example of that sort of self-destruction.
Yeah, I hear you. And especially when it comes to journalists, it's this Trump 2.0 in the second term. There are quite a few casualties, a lot of roadkill here in the mainstream media, if you think about it. Just in the last few months, you've got Terry Moran. Norah O'Donnell was removed from her position as anchor at CBS News. Jim Acosta was removed.
Yes.
Joy Reid was removed. I'm scratching the surface. I know that there are more.
Yeah.
Jennifer Rubin at the Washington Post is gone. And they're gone because of their behavior, and because even those news entities couldn't maintain the facade that they are in some way representing. What was that? Oh, so I heard my voice back to me somewhere. They see this is how I'm going to get fired, right there, because I hear my voice in my ear coming back to me. And now WMAL is going to say, we're choosing not to renew.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
The second Trump term has really sort of even these news agencies couldn't pretend like these guys were journalists or news people. We've seen it. We've seen through it for a while now. I'm waiting for Jake Tapper. I'm waiting for CNN to decide not to renew Jake Tapper. That'll be the moment when I know that they're really serious about this. But anyway, Terry Moran, we look forward to your Substack. It's going to be great. It's going to be lit. You and Don Lemon and Jim Acosta and Joy Reid can do like your own version of the Five. And it'll be great, great viewing. And nice. It's 5:53.